Greetings, everyone. Pete Pardo here from City Tranquility. Welcome to my number one pick in my month-long countdown of my 31 favorite power trio bands of all time. Yes, indeed. There's 31 days in July. Today is day 31, so it's my number one favorite power trio of all time. It's been loads of fun doing this particular series this month, something a little different. Talking about some well-known power trios as well as some not so well-known to some of you, but these have been my 31 favorites. There's so many of them. As you're going to get, I have my honorable mentions episode coming up just after this one where I'll talk about some of the ones that didn't quite make the cut, but power trios that I like quite a bit as well. But I picked my 31 favorites. I've been counting them all down. Of course, we're at number one. I've seen so many of you that have been predicting like my top five. Like the last week has been fun because everybody's like, all right, Pete's number one is going to be this, his two is going to be number three, four, blah, 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 blah. And a good chunk of you actually got my number one correct, which I think if you've been watching me all these years, probably not too much of a mystery, right? The top two or three, I think most people had a handle on. It's just what the order would be. Well, my number one is from Canada. One of the great power trios of all time, whether you call them prog, progressive metal, heavy metal, hard rock, whatever you want to call them, you can only call them Rush. All right? They got their start in the late 60s. Initially, Geddy Lee, Alex Lifeson, and John Rutsey, right? They released that first album in 1974, of which right after that, John's out. They get a young drummer in named Neil Peart. Fly By Night is the second album, first with Neil, and from there, they never looked back. Right, across albums, I just grabbed a couple albums because they got so many great ones, right? Of course, I grabbed the recent reissues, right? So I grabbed the 2112 reissue. I love this shot of the band here, this live shot. I'm a sucker for live shots, as you well know. Look at that, Rush in their early glory. Man, how cool is that? 2112, the great kind of semi-conceptual sci-fi epic. Their big real breakthrough, of course. I pulled Permanent Waves, fantastic album. Farewell to Kings, right? You got Hemispheres, my personal favorite, Moving Pictures. You got Signals. You got Power Windows. You got, all these other great albums, right? There's so many of them. Caress of Steel, which I absolutely love. Grace Under Pressure, the more recent stuff before they, decided to pack it in. Just a great band that had so much power, so many thoughtful lyrics from Neil. May he rest in peace. Killer guitar work from Alex Lifeson, whether it was the big, beefy 70s riffing and with the more kind of compact stuff that he was doing throughout the 80s. Great solos all across the map from start to finish in the history of this band. Always really well constructed, thought out guitar solos. The amazing bass work of Geddy Lee, one of the greats of all time. Geddy is, if he's not my favorite bass player of all time, he's number 2 or 3. I always like Geddy's vocals, definitely unique. The arrangements of this band were amazing, whether they're doing epic stuff or shorter pieces, lots of textures, lots of colors, lots of drama. They could be complex when they wanted to. They can be a little more accessible when they wanted to. Rush kind of did it all, regardless of what era you really like the best. I know lots of people who love the 80s era. That's when they came in. A lot of us kind of lean a little bit more towards the 70s. A lot of people I know love the latter period stuff as well. And then you got many, many Rush fans who just like it all, right? They have soft spots for all the different eras. Just such a great band. So many great songs. And, God, you think about it. It's like, God, I've been listening to Rush for now, 40 some odd years. It's like, holy cow, where has the time gone, right? But just to me, and what I love about Rush is that they, always remained a three-piece. And what they did, instead of, adding additional members, right? They're like, you know what, we're going to kind of do what we can with what we got, utilize technology. Geddy started playing different keyboards and synthesizers and things like that. Instead of adding like a second guitar player, Alex just put all these guitar layers and came up with all these cool chord voicings using effects and things like that. Geddy he was the singer throughout the whole time. And I really give them a lot of credit for, all those years. They're like, all right, three of us can do it. We're just going to continue to do it. This is Rush. This is how we're going to go about it. And that's a great thing. that's a really great thing. So yeah, I mean, I don't know what more to say because we've talked so much about Rush on the channel. To me, the greatest power trio of all time. And again, they delivered lots of power. That's what it was all about, right? For me, it's all most of these bands that have been on my list, potent bands. There are other trios out there that did great music for what they did, right? But not really power trio like I'm thinking of power trio. So to me, it was always all about Rush. I saw some comment yesterday that someone said, that I was showing my age a little bit and that I picked Rush over the Jimi Hendrix Experience. And I mean, that could be true, right? If I was 5, 8 years older, I might have picked Hendrix. But there's nothing wrong with coming in at number 2 on this list because, the Jimi Hendrix Experience or Band of Gypsies, whatever. I mean, that's number 2. That speaks volumes, right? And it comes down to personal preference. And when it comes down to it, I just prefer Rush just a little bit over Jimmy. I love Jimmy with everything in me, right? But you look at the Rush catalog; it went decades. Jimmy as influential and legendary. We had those 3 albums. Yeah, a ton of great live stuff and lots of stuff that came out after he died, which is cool. But I just had to look back. Well, who have I listened to more in my life? Who means a little bit more to me? And Jimmy means the world to me, but I think Rush means the universe to me. That's what it kind of comes down to, right? There's not that much separating them there. But you have to take a lot of things in consideration, and it's all about personal preferences, right? I know there's plenty of people who love Rush, but they may not put Rush as high as I did, and that's all right. I saw a lot of people that were saying, hey, Cream has got to be number 1 or Jimmy has to be number 1, and that's totally cool too. Because, again, I was just a little guy when Cream and Jimmy were at the top of the charts, so I was not old enough to know. I caught up quickly, though, as the 70s wore on, but I didn't, live through an experience buying Cream and Hendrix albums at the time, going to see them live, right? I did that with Rush, so it's kind of a different thing. So, yeah, because I was born in 66, it's, and that's the way it goes, right? That's the way it goes. So I want to thank everybody for playing along this month. This was really cool. I saw hundreds of comments each and every day, either listing their pick for that day or commenting on my pick or, predicting what my picks were going to be. That's what this is all about. It's fun. This is the community aspect that I really, really like a lot. So Rush is my number 1 power trio, my favorite power trio of all time. Coming up in just a few short minutes, you'll get to see my very lengthy honorable mentions list to see which other ones that I considered for this particular series. And then, of course, stay tuned for tomorrow, because tomorrow we're going to change gears a little bit. So I'm asking everybody to kind of play along, because I know that this month's August monthly series, for some of you, is not going to have a lot of interest, and I totally get that. But what I'm asking everybody is to give it a try. Okay, this is basically give it a try month. So I'm going to talk about some bands that we may have discussed here and there on the channel, but these are bands that have kind of come out since the year 2000 and who I feel are kind of, my favorites of the many, many bands that I like who have come out in the last 22 years. I'm going to give you my 30 favorites that I think you guys should really investigate and check out. So what I'm asking you is, and I'm going to keep these videos short, they're going to be probably around 5 minutes or thereabouts. I'm going to talk about the band, what they're all about. I'll probably show you my favorite album by them, and I'm going to ask you to go and investigate it. Go give it a listen. Let us know what you think, because I think it's got, at some point, we all have to try and consider that there is a universe of music out there beyond our favorites from the 60s, 70s, and 80s. I know we all grew up on that stuff, and those will always be our favorites, but the music world did not end in 1990. There are plenty of really, really good bands that have come out in the last 20, 25 years or so. And many of them, because if you know me and you know what we cover on this channel, many of them play in styles of bands and genres that we already love from back in the day. So I think, and you know how hard it is for younger bands who play this style of music that we cover here on this channel. It's not mainstream stuff anymore. It's not mainstream. These stuff are not going to make the charts. They don't get the big tours, anything like that. So these bands need our help. They need our views. They need our sales from purchase of CDs and downloads and streams and all that sort of stuff. So basically, my point of doing this show in August is to give back something to some of these bands, because for me, they have given me 20 plus years of enjoyment with their music, and now I want to see if we can get the masses here on Sea of Tranquility to kind of do the same and discover them maybe for the first time. And so play along. I know because I have 8 years of experience here on this channel, that I know that a good chunk of folks are not going to watch these shows, and that's sad, but it is what it is. But for those of you who are interested in hearing about some really, really cool newer bands, and again, we're talking all forms of metal, prog rock, hard rock, classic rock, fusion. That's kind of what we're doing here. I think you may have something that deviates a little bit there as well, but it's the genres that we generally cover. And like I said, many of these bands we've done reviews of their albums on here, or they've come up in the odd show here and there, but we've never done some of we maybe even done ranking shows on. But again, this is going to specifically be each day a different band who have debuted since the year 2000. Talk a little bit about each one, where they're from, what they're all about, who's in the band, and my favorite album by them. So it's going to be each and every day in the month of August. And then in September, we're going to go into my favorite, however many days in September, 31 favorite two guitar bands, right? Or the two guitar duos. It's not so much about the bands. It's about those two guitar players who work together in a band for a period of time. And I'm going to lay out my favorite 31 of them. So that's all about twin guitars coming up in September. But first in August is new stuff. This is going to be new artist feature from the last 22 years. So stay tuned tomorrow for my first pick, and we'll do that all throughout the month of August. Thanks for watching, everybody. Visit us on the web at www.seaoftranquility.org. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube all the damn time. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and click on that notification bell. We also have the links below to our Ko-Fi page, as well as our merch page, where you can get all sorts of cool Sea of Tranquility shirts and hoodies and hats and coffee mugs and stickers and all that good stuff. All sorts of different shapes and sizes, flavors, logos, designs. We have shirts for a lot of the different shows we have on the channel, so there's a lot of cool stuff there. So go check that out. And we'll see you in a few minutes with the honorable mentions. All right, thanks for watching. I'm Pete Pardo. Bye-bye.